Hello beloveds, it's Karuna here from Complex PTSD Made Super Simple. I have a newsletter that I send out regularly, and if you want to sign up for my newsletter or be in touch for online sessions, you will see how to get a hold of me in the text below the video. Have you ever wondered why your family is so toxic? Like, what was the source of that toxicity? Where did it come from? Why was there crazy making in my family? And how did that all start and where did that come from? We know that if we can go to the source of the problem, uproot the source of the problem, then we're really going somewhere. Most of us will place Band-Aid upon Band-Aid on an issue and compensate over here and compensate over here. Today, we're going to look at the source of the toxicity, and I'm hoping this is really, really helpful for you specifically, and if it happens to help your family members, great. Toxicity in a family has many symptoms. It leads to unkind words, triangulation, physical abuse, diminishment, loss of identity, loss of voice, low self-worth, on and on and on. There are many symptoms of the toxic family. Think of what a drain that toxicity is in terms of resources in our world. Think of all of us who've had low self-worth, and this low self-worth controls us as we go into life. Think about what a drain that is on our talents, on our abilities. We don't feel like we have anything to contribute to our world. Another example is social isolation. So the symptoms of the toxic family present in many ways. It is a highly unusual family that together will be proactive and address toxicity. If you happen to have a family like that, that's amazing. In order to address the toxicity at the root and pull it out for good, we have to understand the origin of that toxic stew. You're ready to learn what the origin is? The origin is denial. Denial in its varied forms with each family member. There are many layers and many levels of denial. So think of it like strata, like rock strata. There's some broad bands in the strata that you'll see the layer, a very, very dense, thick layer, and then there'll be other refined layers. Initially, we want to address the large layers of denial. As examples, this might be denial of pain, denial of suffering, denial of anger. And we want to address denial individually by creating inner change, by focusing on our inner flow and our inner world that extends to the outer world. So by you making a shift in your family dynamic, that's going to shift what's going on in the family. We're going to talk about refined ways to consider denial a little bit later in this video, but right now I want to give us a powerful practice in which we can learn to relinquish and let go of and integrate denial. As an example, let's look at fear. Often we'll want fear to go away. We won't want to look at it and we'll push it away. And that only makes it worse, doesn't it? We're in denial of the fear, we want it to go away, we want it to be something else, and then we're in greater conflict with ourselves. In the practice of relinquishing denial, with fear as an example, when fear comes up, acknowledge that fear is present. Oh, there's fear again. And be curious about the fear. Inquire about the fear. Where did you come from? How did you get here? You seem so familiar to me. From there, in a quiet moment, you can lay down, maybe right now. Take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, lay down, and deeply feel through the fear. Rather than thinking the fear, feel through the layer of fear, the strata of the fear. And as you feel through it, you'll notice a sensation and energy. And the mind will want to think about that energy and categorize it. See if you can stay with the feeling of the fear and notice if it leads somewhere else and continue with the inquiry from there. You may discover that that fear is a paper tiger. It looks very, very scary on the outside. So scary, we want to be in denial about it. We want to reject it. We want to go away. But what if you go into, feel into the fear? Is it a paper tiger? Where does it lead? Now, we can do this practice of self-inquiry with other types of denial. For instance, the tendency to manipulate. Why do I want to manipulate? Am I trying to control someone? Am I trying to create order in my world that was chaos when I was younger? Feel into the tendency to manipulate. Does that tendency, as you feel into it, again, not thinking, feel into it, does it make you nauseous? Does it affect your tummy? Does it hurt your heart? Do you feel voiceless? These are answers for you to pursue. It's a deeply personal experience, and this is how we address denial individually. We do not ask this of our family members. We address it individually. And from there, we step into our authentic self. We're less likely to have these masks and personas on as we meet with family members, and guess what? We're less likely to project our denial onto a family member, which creates a messy situation. Let me say that again. We're less likely to project our denial onto a family member and create a toxic, messy situation. By each of us addressing denial and feeling through denial individually, this is going to shift the dynamics in the family. Not every member of your family is going to be happy to see you shifting. Guess what? Some members of the family will be very interested in their control trip. In the past, you may have fed into that control trip with your own looping. By you extricating yourself, the person in your family who's been interested in control may act quite concerned about you. But are they really? Or are they just trying to feed their loop of self-righteousness? Be on the lookout for these signals and stay with your process of addressing the denial. A great boon of addressing denial is that you will step into your authentic self. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. This means you'll start to speak the truth from your heart. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions will align. That's being in your authentic self. You will start to align with your authentic self more and more and more. And you'll find that addressing the denial actually becomes exciting, to take a proactive stance with the denial rather than, for instance, falling back as victim in the family. Starting to take a proactive stance with the denial will have a great boon for you. You'll feel this as a resonance, as a transmission, and when you start to feel it as a resonance, as a transmission, you can no longer replicate the denial. It can't be passed on to other family members, to you, to your friends, to your community and your workplace. It stops. You're more interested in speaking out in truth, greater truth, the truth of consciousness, the truth of your nature, rather than replicating the loops of the denial. Importantly, for those of you who are in no contact with your family, for those of you who care for them from afar, all that you've experienced, all your trauma has led to this moment where you get to relinquish the boulders of the denial, that backpack of denial that you've been carrying around for a long, long time. You get to put down those boulders and you get to step into a greater flow. And sometimes it takes extricating yourself from the toxic family environment because it was too hard to be in that environment. You couldn't get this deep cathartic work done. You had to remove yourself from the toxic environment to step into this greater flow and to truly know your authentic self. The symbology of your journey of doing this on your own has an amazing way of generating shifts even though you do not have physical contact with your family. Avoidance of the denial further perpetuates the loop, and it indeed will feed the dynamics of the toxic family. Avoidance will serve as a fuel for the toxic family dynamics, whether you're in touch with them or not. When we address denial, relinquish denial, dissolve denial, integrate denial, there are shifts that go on that happen quickly. Remember, in the physical world, things move slowly. In the subtle energy realm, things happen pretty quickly. By you creating shifts, that is signaling to other family members, I'm no longer a player in the dynamics. I'm out. I'm not going to further the loop. And sometimes I make an analogy with a boomerang. Let's say a family member has thrown you a hook, a boomerang, and they expect you to catch that boomerang and play with them. When you're out of denial, there's a clarity in your field. And that family member may try to throw that hook, may try to throw that boomerang. By you not being part of that cycle, by not catching the boomerang, guess what? It's going to go right back to them. And this quickens the pace in which they can potentially look at their own denial. I hope that made sense. As you become proactive with the denial, you'll learn to trust the process of denial. Denial will be a rub, it will create a fire, and it will create a new. We will learn to trust the process of denial, not only for ourselves, but our family members. I said earlier we would look at the more refined areas of denial. Once we've considered the big layers of denial, the pain, the suffering, control trips, it will start to get more and more refined. As an example, let's look at manipulation again. In the past, perhaps you used drama and tears to get your way. And it was all very dramatic. Once you're out of denial at that level of drama, you'll start to notice your words. Very refined. Am I using my words in a manipulative way? Am I writing that email that I sent out? Was there any sense of manipulation in that? Did I step forward with my authentic truth as spoken from my heart? We want our responses in, yes, a messy world, to step forward from a place of authentic truth. On this journey, we will be interested in aligning with the truth of consciousness, our greater nature, with the truth of God. That's not self-righteous, by the way. We'll want to have right action moment to moment. That desire to have right action moment to moment will clear up the little wiggly wobbies. We'll want to refine our words, refine our actions, even refine our thoughts until our thoughts, our words, and our actions align, until we are consistent in our world. And that's something that we never had when we were younger. It's unusual to find in our world, and that's the journey we're on. Let's get out of denial in the major ways, working toward the more refined understanding. Step forward in your truth. This goes to the root of the toxicity. Start with yourself. If other family members are inspired to take this journey with you, so be it. If you have no contact with family members, trust the process, so be it. I have an online meditation program. It's different than the meditations I have on this channel. It's a dedicated meditation program. If my message resonates with you, please go to my website, which you can see right here. Go to my website right here and download the meditation program. If this message inspires you, and if you want to help others address the root of toxicity and get out of denial, please by all means share this video and be in touch for online sessions as so inspired. I love you guys. I'll be back to see you very soon. And as always, leave your comments below.